In the previous video, we have seen the introduction to data structure in JavaScript. In this video, we will see what are arrays in JavaScript. So what is an array? An array is a data structure in JavaScript that can hold multiple values at once. So an array will be defined using square brackets. This is an example of an array which holds 4 elements in it. In the above example we have seen we are storing numbers in the array. It is not necessary that you have to store only numbers. We can store any types like numbers, strings, objects, or even other arrays. And we can store mix of these types as well. Arrays in JavaScript are zero indexed. The first element index starts at 0. The last element index will be the length of the array minus 1. Array has a length property. We can directly get the length of the array by doing array.length. Arrays are iterables, so we can use for of loop, for each loop, map, filter, reduce, etc. to loop an array. We will see this implementation in the next section. So I'm using the GitHub code space. You can use your local VS Code or any other online editor. I'll declare the array. I'll have 4 numbers in it and I'll print this using a for of loop. So this will be item and array and I'll console log the item. So as you can see, it prints the items in the array. I can have other elements like string also in the array. I'll put hello here. As you can see, it is printing. If you add an element to the end of the array, I can do array dot push 5. As you can see, it is added to the end of the array. I can remove an element using array dot pop and I can log it. As you can see, the removed item is 5. If you want to add an element to the beginning of the array, I can do array.unshift. So I'll add 0 at the beginning. So as you can see, it is added. And if you want to remove that 0 from the beginning of the array, you can do array.shift. So as you can see, 0 is removed. These are the 4 array methods used to add and remove elements to the array. Next, let's see slice and splice operations. So what slice does is it helps us getting a part of the array. So sliced array equal to ar dot slice. So as you can see the definition here, the first is the start index from where you want to start slicing, and the last one is the end. Both are optional. If you don't pass anything, it will return the entire array. And if you say start, you want to start at the first index. So let us see what it returns. This does not modify the array, so let us print both the arrays and see. So as you can see, array has 5 elements. Here in the sliced array, it returns an array starting from the first index. 0th index will be skipped. So if you give something like 2, in this case what it does is it slices until the last index. This last index will not be considered, so starting from the first index till the first index only. So if I give 3, 2 elements will be returned. So that's about slice. Next let's see splice operation. So let's see the definition here. Removes the elements from the array and if necessary inserts new elements in its place, returning the deleted elements. So splice helps in multiple things, deleting the elements in the array, and if needed we can insert new elements in the deleted position as well. So let's see the example. So our array has 5 elements. So what I'll do is I'll call splice of 2, that is from the third position, and I'll do 1. And now let us print our array. So this was our original array, and after splicing you can see 3 is removed from the array and we have got this 3 in the spliced array. So as you can observe, this splice function modifies the array whereas slice doesn't modify the array. And if I want to insert something else in the place of 3, I can pass this here. Let's say 6. So as you can see, in the place of 3, 6 is inserted and 3 is returned here. The second argument specifies how many items we need to delete. I can say 3 also. So as you can see, starting from the 0, 1, 2, that is the third index, it returns 3 elements here and inserts 6 in place of this. So that's about the slice and splice. Next, let us see different array iteration functions. I'll define a fresh array here. So the first is forEach function. This is used to iterate, pass a callback function, which will receive the value here. And I can just log the value here. As you can see, it prints the items. One thing to note about forEach function is you cannot use break statements here. If you use break statements, it will not be respected. So let me see, if item equal to 2, let me break and see if I'm able to stop it from printing other elements. So as you can see, it gives a compiler error. We cannot break from here. If you want to use break, then you'll have to use for of loops or traditional for loops. So as you can see in for of loop, you are able to break and it is printing only 1 and 2. So the next is a map function. So what map function does is it lets you iterate over the array and return a result. So that result will be appended to another array and will be returned. So let us see. I want to add 1 to all the items and return. What I'll do is I'll return item plus 1. Then I can print the results. So as you can see, 1 is added to all the items and it is returned. This is a fresh array. The original array is not modified here. Next is the filter function. So array.filter. So if I want to filter out specific elements, like let us say I want to have only odd numbers. So what I can do is, so I'm checking if it is an odd number, then I return true and I'll just print the filtered numbers. So as you can see, it prints all the odd numbers. So here what happens is if true is returned for any element, then that will be considered in the filtered array. Otherwise, it will be excluded. I can specify explicit return false also for the completeness. Next is the reduce function. Reduce function is used to perform operations on all the elements in the array and result in a single value. So for example, I can use it to find the sum of the elements in the array, array.reduce. This will receive two parameters. One is previous value and next is current value. And we need to pass a initial value as well. So initial value will be 0 in our case. So for the first item, we will receive the previous value as 0 and we will return previous value plus current value. And I'll print the sum and our array as well. So sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 15. So the next is a find method. I can do array.find. So let me search for 5 in here and print it. So as you can see, 5 is printed here. What this will do is it will call this callback until it receives true or all the elements are done. As soon as it receives true, it stops calling these callbacks for the remaining elements. So we can verify that. So I'll just log the values and I'll check until 2. So as you can see, it executes only for 1 and 2. Then it will come out of that loop and it will print the item. And if it is not found, let us say I'm searching for 9, it will execute for everything and it will return undefined. So you can check if something is defined, then it is found, otherwise it is not found. Similarly, we have find index as well. What it does is it returns the index of the found element. If it is not found, it returns -1. So let us check for 3. The index of 3 is 2, so it returns 2. So the final function we'll see is the add function. So if I want to get an element at a particular index, I can use that function. Let's say I want to find the item at the index 1, that is 2. I'll get it. You might also know we can get it using the square brackets by referring the index directly. Yes, this also work. The problem here is if you want to refer negative index, it will not work, but act function will accept negative indexes as well. So as you can see, negative index will help you to get the last element in the array. So the negative index will start from -1, -2 until -5, the length of the array. So we can verify that. As you can see, it returns 1. And if you give an index which is not there, it will return undefined. So that's all about array functions. Let us see big O time complexity for these array functions. First is push and pop. We push and pop to or from the end of the array, so we don't modify the existing elements in the array. So it has a constant time complexity. So next is shift and unshift. In both the cases, we modify the indexes of all the elements in the array. So we have a linear time complexity. Next is slice, splice, and concat. In these cases, we modify the existing array and we pass to the entire array. Hence, we have a complexity of big O of n. Next is looping. Obviously, we access all the elements in the array. Again, it is linear time complexity. Next is at or accessing an element in the array. We directly access it without looping through the array. So it has constant time complexity. There are a few other array methods which we didn't discuss here. These are the methods. You can Google them and see what are they and how they can be used. In the next video, we will see objects in JavaScript. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. See you in the next one.